figured out how to do that and share it with you. Thanks for being here. So what we're talking about is cramping. When we have cramps during a game, most of the go-to is somebody's going to hand you a Gatorade and say, here, drink this, right? Because it has electrolytes. Guess what? Gatorade has as much sugar, if not more, as a Coke. So I'm not going to tell you to drink Coke, but I'm going to tell you that Gatorade is not the best thing for you to drink. The absolute best thing for you to drink is something called coconut water. Has anybody ever had that? Let me see a show of hands. Anybody ever tried coconut water? Ezra, you have? And your tongue is still in your mouth and your nose is not wrinkled. That's good. Do you like it? No. Okay. It's kind of, it's kind of an acquired taste. It tastes a little weird at first, but here's some fun trivia about coconut water and why it's the best thing. It is the most natural, most similar substance to human blood as far as electrolytes go, and fluid, anything on the planet. It is so similar to human blood that in an emergency situation, it can be used as a blood transfusion. It can go directly into your vein. Isn't that crazy? You cannot do that with Gatorade, and you certainly can't do it with Coke. It's better for you than water. Those electrolytes help your body to absorb the water. So when you're dehydrated, the water just goes straight through your digestive system if you drink plain water. Okay, it's better to drink water than nothing. So don't misunderstand me. If you don't have coconut water, drink water. Drink smart water. That's better too. But we'll get into stuff like Gatorade and Powerade and those sorts of things. There's a lot of sugar and a lot of food coloring in them that make them kind of have a negative side effect to all of that. So better to drink Gatorade than nothing. Better to drink water, right? That's even better. Better to drink smart water, and best to drink coconut water. So put that in the back of your mind and maybe come prepared during a game with some of that, even if it doesn't taste so good. And a little trick to drinking coconut water and learning to like it is that there are some that have little bits of like pomegranate juice or orange juice or pineapple juice or something like that added to it. That's okay. That makes it a little bit more tolerable in flavor. It's not gross, but it's kind of weird. So try it so you know what you're getting into, but also know that it's fueling you in a really powerful way. And you only have to drink about 4 ounces to get the benefit from it. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a second here. Just 1 second. Oops. All right, here we go. For those of you who were not on the last time, put this up here. My name is Wendy Stingle. I'm Food Goddess. I work as a pediatric speech language pathologist with a specialty in feeding and swallowing disorders, and also as an integrative nutrition health coach. My approach to what I do is plant-forward eating, which means we think about what plants we're eating above and beyond anything else first, and positive living. Okay, these are some of the things that I do. I put this in here mostly for parents who might be in the background. I do individualized health coaching, customized group coaching, which is sort of like what we're doing here. Attend a lifestyle reset, some nutritional education, and a collaborative group coaching program. Here is sort of what we're talking about. Nutrition fuels our body. So if we're operating at empty, that's a problem. We want to operate at full so that we maximize our performance. The 2 different things you guys have probably heard little bits of, maybe not a lot, but maybe some: macronutrients and micronutrients. And the best way I can describe these things, macronutrients are your big food groups like protein, carbs, and fats, right? We need all 3 of those. And those sort of act as the gas, or if you have an electric vehicle, that's the electricity running the motor. Micronutrients come from plants. They're the phytonutrients. They are the minerals, the calcium, the potassium, the magnesium, the vitamin C, vitamin E, all of those things. Those are your micronutrients. So those kind of act as the oil. So if you think about the engine of a car, you can have gas and it'll run with gas or electricity. But without oil, eventually the whole thing will break down. Getting back into muscle cramps, that comes from something called oxidative stress. We will talk about where oxidative stress comes from. We all experience oxidative stress, though, and it is generally linked to poor health. Your best defense against oxidative stress is antioxidants. I'm sure you've heard of antioxidant, that word, right? Anybody heard of that word? I'm sure antioxidants like vitamin C, that's an antioxidant. Eat antioxidant foods, those kind of replenish you. So if you think about oxidative stress, we need oxygen to survive, and oxidative stress comes from too much oxygen. So if you think about an apple, right, you slice it, apple's beautiful, it's clear, crisp, but if you leave it sitting out for a while, it starts to turn brown. That is oxidation. It's because too much oxygen has reached that apple and it starts to age it, which is why we wrinkle over time. All right. What is oxidative stress? It's an imbalance. This is kind of really wordy, but I'll just kind of gloss over it. Imbalance between free radicals. Free radicals are oxygen-containing molecules that cause damage. So it's an imbalance between the free radicals and antioxidants, and it causes damage to your DNA, damage to muscle tissue, tendon injuries, decreased immune response, and an overactive immune system, which then leads to all kinds of things like autoimmune disease. You hear about thyroid problems, eczema, allergies. Those are all examples of autoimmune diseases. But for the purpose of what we're talking about here today, we're going to focus mostly on tendon issues, or injuries, and muscle damage, because those are super important. We're trying to prevent that. Oxidative stress is caused by inflammatory foods. So things like gluten. Gluten, if you're not familiar with what gluten is, it's the protein molecule that's in bread, in the bread that most of us love. It's in pasta, it's in cookies, it's in cake, it's in anything made with flour. Alcohol, you guys shouldn't be having to worry about that. Sugar, processed foods, and animal proteins. That's one that really shocks a lot of people, right? Because we hear eat your protein, eat your protein. Too much of that really causes a lot of inflammation. Exercise, especially over-exercising, causes oxidative stress. Sleep deprivation, if you're getting less than, for you guys, 9 hours of sleep a night. I'm sure most of you aren't getting 9 hours of sleep a night. Stress, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, environmental. Dieting also causes stress on the body, and many isolated vitamins and supplements. So just because you think you might need a multivitamin doesn't mean that's the right thing for your body. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. Anybody remember from last time what the recommended daily number of fruits and veggies per day is? Put it in the chat if you remember. Anyone? Here's the answer. 7 to 13. Put in the chat if you get 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. One serving is the size of your fist. Okay, so we're looking for 7 to 13. Anybody? Let me see if I can see you all. Okay, here's the kicker. Okay, for athletes, you know, that number changes. Anybody have a guess what that number might change to? I might not be able to see my chat. I don't think anybody's putting it in the chat. But if you want to put it in the chat, put it in the chat. I'd love to hear your guesses. All right, here we go. 16 to 18. That's what you should be getting, fruits and veggies. Not all one, so we don't want to be eating 16 to 18 bananas. Although bananas are great, but you want a variety on top of that. It is tough to get that in, okay? So what's the best way to do that? A couple of things. Eat the rainbow. If you look at your plate and you see a rainbow of color on your plate, you know you're in a good, you're at the very least starting out well, okay? And then whole food concentrates is another way, and we'll talk about what those are here in a minute. But I'm going to get some help from a buddy of mine. She's not live, but her name is Winter Vinecki. Winter Vinecki is an aerial skier, an Olympic aerial skier. And so I want you to hear a little bit from her because I think she'll really resonate with you. She is somebody who has grown up an athlete. She is a World Cup gold medalist. She's world record holder for the youngest person to run a marathon on all 7 continents. She was 15 when she did it. And because her mom wouldn't let her do it alone, her mom did it with her. So they won a world record for that too. The first mother-daughter team to run a marathon on every continent. She's a triathlete from the time she was, I think, 5 years old. And then she's the founder of Team Winter, which is a nonprofit organization for prostate cancer research, because she lost her dad to prostate cancer when she was 9. He was diagnosed, he was an active triathlete, diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he died 10 months after he was diagnosed. So she created this nonprofit organization for him. And this is one of her sayings: never give in, never give up. Despite the critics, the naysayers, those who say it is impossible, you can't, you won't, never give in. Okay. So I want you to see, first of all, you know what I forgot to do? Hang on a second. I'm gonna be a little rough around the edges today because I forgot to turn on the sound. Okay, hang on here, I'm sorry. All right. This is Winter.
United States of America, double full. Это была Winter 94.11 and is leading for the moment. Bayontina from Canada is the second, and Lyubov Nikitina from Russia is the third.
Notice that mask she had on her face, okay? There's a story that goes with that mask. Okay. I think I have that. Coach Kennedy said she can't even do a cartwheel. You know what? I can't either. So we're in good company. Whoops, hang on. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so let me go back to my screen share. I'm sorry, I am not as smooth at this as I'd like to be, but guess what? You guys are gonna make me be. All right, we're gonna go back to Winter here. This is a bunch of friends of mine. Here's me right here. This is Winter. This over here is her mom, who did the world record with who did the marathons with her. So we talked about the whole food concentrates, because I had several questions the last time, people asking me what is the best way to get plant nutrients, get fruits and vegetables in without just eating salad. Okay, there are a variety of ways, including eating the rainbow, but there is another way called whole food concentrates, which are dehydrated fruits and veggies in a capsule or a gummy, okay? And I want you to know about that because it is such a powerful tool for athletes. But I'm going to let Winter tell you about that. Let me see. I think I have to go back and forth a little bit here to make it share just right.
Contain the same and point.
All right, here we go.
If this is your first time joining us, I'm so excited to have you tuning in with us today. My name is Winter Vinecki, and today I'm just going to be sharing my story and my journey on the Healthy Starts for Families program with Juice Plus. So my Juice Plus journey began about when I was 11 or 12 years old. I was the ambassador for Iron Kids at the time, which is a youth triathlon series across the United States. As the ambassador, I would travel to these different races, compete in them, but also encourage kids to lead an active, healthy lifestyle and to not only race for themselves, but for a cause. And this was one thing that was really important to me. When I was 9 years old, my dad was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of prostate cancer, and he passed away just 10 months after he was diagnosed. But as a young athlete doing triathlons, running, skiing, I wanted to use my athletic platform to be able to help him and all the men affected by prostate cancer. So I formed Team Winter, a nonprofit organization for prostate cancer research and awareness, and to date have raised over $500,000 for this cause. And at the time, I certainly was not at that amount of money with Team Winter, but I was continuing to raise more awareness with the help of this triathlon series. And it was at one of these races in Texas where I came across Juice Plus. So one of our now friends had a booth there, and they were sharing Juice Plus with everybody, telling us what it was. And as the ambassador, it was my job to go around to the different booths, introduce myself, and talk with some of the other people there. And I saw this Juice Plus, and I saw these little gummies, and I immediately was like, "Whoa, these are pretty cool. This is neat. They taste good, and they're vegetables and fruits. Like, that's crazy." And they literally were like little fruit snacks, and so I loved them. I took them over to my mom and brothers who were with me at that race. My mom is a physician, and she thought it was a cool idea with the gummies, but then I showed her the research, and she was a little bit blown away because she had never heard of this product, and it's the most researched nutritional product in the world, which was incredible because, like I said, as a physician, she knew the importance of having that medical data. We never, growing up, were on anything like the other multivitamins and stuff because my mom knew that a lot of the times you just pee that stuff out. It's not properly absorbed, and you can never really be sure what exactly is in those products. And so with Juice Plus, my mom was immediately on board because it had the medical support for it, and it also was safe for kids, for adults, for pregnant people, for basically anybody. And this was really neat. And so my mom immediately got my brothers and I on the Healthy Starts for Families program because she knew the importance of good nutrition and getting more good into our bodies every single day. Growing up, she always would make home cooked meals for us and would do her best to get these whole fruits and vegetables into our diet. I mean, we had dinner as a family most nights of the week that I can remember. We would go over to my grandparents' house and have family dinners with them. We would also, for us kids, we were the kids that would bring leftovers to school for school lunches. So I literally would bring Tupperware with lasagna or chicken and broccoli from the night before from dinner. Meanwhile, other kids were having their just peanut butter jelly or their pre-wrapped processed foods. And so it was a good start to our learning of nutrition growing up, having our mom be so supportive and so on top of teaching us where food comes from and what things may be good for us and help us feel good, especially as a young athlete. You know, she taught us that what you put into your body is what you're going to get out, and you want to properly fuel your body for success. And the really cool thing about Juice Plus is they understood this as well, that you have to be having the proper nutrition, and this is important even when you're just 4 years old, but also at any point in your life. And Juice Plus knew that if they were to have a product, most parents would probably buy it for their kids, but then not buy it for themselves. Because if they're going to buy one supply, they're going to give it to their kids, of course. And so Juice Plus recognized this and said, okay, well, how about we have a program where the parent can get it and then they get it for free for their kid. So now they're not just going to be giving away, the whole family is going to be getting healthy and getting the nutrition that they need. And so this is really the key, that Juice Plus is for anyone at any age, and you can create those healthy habits and have that healthy start at any age. I was 11 years old when I started Juice Plus, but there are people who now are on it from 4 years old. There's even babies that are, getting it on their tongue to get used to the taste of vegetables. And it's pretty neat because, you truly can start these healthy habits at any age. I would have loved to get on the product when I was a little bit younger, but that's okay. Like, I found it when I was 11 or 12, and I'm on it now. There's people out there who have college-age students who can even get on the product for free. And this is crazy because college is a huge turning point in a lot of kids' lives, and you're moving away from home, creating all these independent habits, and learning about nutrition can be a bit tough, especially if you're just living in dorms and eating whatever food is there. You have a lot of access to a lot of junk food because it's cheap. And so for a parent to be able to give your college-age student Juice Plus, to know they at least have some nutritional support when they're going off to school, is really cool. And for me, Juice Plus really was important in setting myself up for success for my sports. Because like I said, my mom did a great job of instilling in us all these important aspects of teaching us where food comes from, what is good to eat before races, after races, and things like that. But she's not always at all my races, and especially now she's can't be here to home cook those meals for me. And so as I started to travel around as a young athlete without my mom, I knew I had at least the nutritional support of Juice Plus with me wherever I went in the whole United States and eventually in the world. My mom and I went on a world marathon tour and traveled to all 7 continents. And I set the world record for the youngest person to run a marathon on all 7 continents in honor of my dad. And this was a record many said, I was too young to be going after. I would get burnout. My body would get damaged from running these long distances. But my mom and I knew that I had not only the proper training and the proper physical fitness behind me, but I also had that nutritional support behind me to be able to support me throughout these long distances. And my doctors were completely on board because, they knew that I was properly fueled to be able to run these long distances and recover after these long distances. And recovery is really important because, especially for these things that are pounding on our body and, we're constantly training and training, we need to be able to recover and let our body have the time to catch up a little bit. And with Juice Plus, I'm able to do that. Now I'm an aerial skier and compete across the world in aerial skiing. So we go to places like Russia, Mongolia, or Kazakhstan. Mongolia was actually the marathon, and all these crazy places where we never know where we're going to get good fruits and vegetables from. Like especially in like Russia and stuff, sometimes it's just a lot of white pasta and potatoes. And when my mom and I were traveling for the marathons in Mongolia, we had white rice and yak meat. So not exactly the best nutrition for before a marathon, but with me I had my Juice Plus in my backpack and my gummies, so I was able to take them wherever we were going and know that I have, that nutritional support that I can just carry in my backpack, eat on the plane, eat wherever I am, to be able to know that I'm properly fueling my body. Another really cool thing about Juice Plus is that it's NSF certified. Like I was talking about before, one of the difficulties with some other products, especially when we were young kids, is that you never know what might be in there. And as a young athlete, I need to make sure I'm being especially cautious about what I'm putting into my body so that I can compete clean. And nowadays I have to get drug tested and things like that, so it's even more important. And with the NSF certification, it allows me to ensure that what's on the label of Juice Plus is actually in the bottle, and what's not on the label is not in the bottle. And those are both 2 very important parts there. And so with the NSF certification, I can ensure that I'm getting the nutritional support, but in a way that I'm continuing to compete clean and compete at the highest level without any added things that could get me in trouble. Another important thing with my Juice Plus growing up, And one of the important reasons, like I was talking about, with being on it from such a young age is the recovery aspect. In my sport, it's very aggressive on the body. I mean, we're literally flipping through the air, doing a bunch of flips and twists and trying to land on our feet. And sometimes, that landing isn't always so smooth as we would hoped it would have been. And this can lead to some injuries, unfortunately. Like, I fractured the entire right side of my face training into our water ramps, and I also tore my ACL pretty close back to back. So the one was in the fall of 2017, and then my knee was in January of 2018. And so these are big injuries and normally take a long time to come back from. But because I had the proper nutrition, I was able to get back stronger than ever to my sport. After my face, I was back jumping in just 3 weeks. After I fractured my face, I had to get 2 titanium plates put in, and then I had this custom mask that I jump with from now on to protect my face. But I was able to get back so fast to my sport because I had that nutritional support, and especially keeping down the inflammation was key with my face and with my knee. When I first tore my ACL, I was examined by a couple different doctors, and they all said the same thing. They're like, "Oh no, it's not your ACL. Like, there's no swelling, no inflammation, nothing." And I think part of that is because of the omegas that I had recently started taking, and I just had no inflammation. It was completely torn, but my body didn't react super aggressively in some ways that it normally would from injuries. And this was beneficial in helping me recover faster because I had my omegas, I had my Juice Plus capsules to be able to keep that inflammation down and help my body's cells, muscles, everything, tendons, ligaments, everything recover properly. And so this was just some of the ways that I've used Juice Plus growing up as a young kid and young athlete on the Healthy Starts for Families program. I have 3 brothers.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here because that's the message that I wanted you guys to hear from her. Number one, just to see what a remarkable athlete she is, and how important that is to hear from her, an athlete like her. How important nutrition is in recovery, in protecting your body from injury. Both of those things together. It's all about the nutrition. It's all about the tools you give your body in order to recover. So if you're in a game and you're feeling cramps, yes, hydrate. Yes, you're deficient in potassium. So what you want to do is, if you want to, if you're comfortable telling me who the people, if you're here, who had issues with cramp were. I'm going to see if you tell me. If it's okay if you don't. Coach Kennedy's throwing you under the bus. And Elise, okay. So you're one of them. So what you want to keep in mind is that you need more potassium. And potassium goes with magnesium. Those two things go together. You get potassium and magnesium from food. The top foods with potassium are bananas, avocado, coconut, like the actual coconut flesh. You can eat shaved coconut or something like that. Potatoes, dates. Does anybody here eat dates? I love them. I have a big sweet tooth, but I try not to eat any sugar. So dates are my go-to because they taste like icing on cake. Okay, well, dates are really good to eat. You can get those in the produce section at most of the grocery stores. They have a big old seed in the middle, but they're really good. So I invite you to experiment with food. Right? A lot of these things, you're not going to see them in the cafeteria at school. You certainly aren't going to see them in the concession stand at a game. Right? The stuff at the concession stands is junk at every single tournament. I know this because my daughter played club volleyball for years. And I just was horrified by what I saw people, fueling their bodies with between games. I mean, you just can't perform well like that. You absolutely have to be thinking, if you want to be competitive, and if you want to stay intact, because we talked about this before, you don't want your parents paying all this money, or parents, those of you who are here, you don't want to be paying all this money to sit on a bench the whole season, right? That's not what you love. you love to play, you love to be in the game, you love to be doing, being part of the team. And you have to take care of your bodies because you're going to school, you're working out, you're doing incredible training exercises, and then on the weekends you're playing games. So you really have to fuel yourself well. So there's a variety of ways to do it, right? It's about what you eat. So when you think about protein, you want to think about eating things like beans and nuts and seeds like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. Those are great things to snack on. Fill your plate first with vegetables. If you think about it like that, so you look at your plate, the very first thing you do is you fill it with vegetables. So instead of thinking, what am I having for dinner tonight? You tell your parents this. Instead of having chicken or tacos, ground beef tacos with potatoes or rice and some green beans, right? You think you flip that upside down. You think, okay, I'm going to have roasted vegetables, whatever veggies you like, broccoli, cauliflower. Even if you think you don't like vegetables, does anybody eat vegetables in this group? Does everybody eat vegetables in this group? Does anybody think, ugh? See, Coach Kennedy's, she's saying, eh, or maybe she said, ugh. No, she does eat them. Anybody else? You can put it in the chat. Well, you want to eat as many colors as you can, okay? Purple cabbage, salad is fine. That doesn't have to be the only thing you eat. Carrots, everything. You guys are being shy. I know, it's okay. We'll get there, right? We'll get to know each other and then you won't feel so shy. So think about that first. And then a whole grain, right? So we're talking about, we're just not healthy. We're all a work in progress. That's what we are, okay? And Catalina, she admits to being shy. So we're all a work in progress. So think about that. Potatoes are not bad. Potatoes are good for you. You hear all kinds of stuff. Oh, you shouldn't be eating potatoes. French fries are not, right? It's what we do to them that make them not good for you. I see you talking to your dad going, see, Dad? French fries are submerged in oil and then covered in salt and sometimes sugar, right? So then we lose the whole potato. But a baked potato, with a little bit of olive oil or put some black beans in it or and vegetables in your baked potato and mix that up, and that's really good for you. You can eat those things and still really benefit from them. What questions do you have for me, because we've been on for a little while? Anybody curious about how Winter broke her face? Anybody want to hear that story other than Coach Kennedy, because I can tell her later? Anybody else want to hear? Let's see how shy you are. All right, I'll tell you. When aerial skiers practice during the summertime, there's no snow, right? So they practice over a swimming pool. So they have one of those big ramps. They go up that ramp, they flip over, and they land in a swimming pool. And she had her hand in the wrong place. And so she had her hand kind of right here. And when she hit the water, the force of the water made her, and she laughs when she tells the story, made her punch herself in the face. So she shattered her cheekbone by punching herself in the face. Pretty awful, right? Pretty horrible thing. But the fact that she did that, had 2 titanium plates put in her face, and then was back to skiing with that clear mask on, which she always wears now, in 3 weeks is pretty darn remarkable. And that's all not because she's an Olympic athlete. I mean, an Olympic athlete, you think about how much she trains and how much stress that is on her body, but it's about how she fuels her body in order for it to be able to recover. That's the key. All right. So your homework for the next month until I see you again at the end of May is to eat at least three new vegetables and 3 new fruits. Okay, 3 of each. You're going to try them, and you're going to report to Coach Kennedy. Coach Kennedy's going to ask you about it. Coach Kennedy has to play too. All right, so you get to ask her. All right, 3 of each. And think about when you're putting your plate together, how many colors are on your plate, because I want to hear from you. So if next month you guys are being shy, I'm gonna call out on you. I'm gonna call you out and ask you each by name. All right. I know Ezra will come on. All right. It is wonderful to see your faces. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for turning your cameras on, so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, because I've heard everything I'm saying before. And if you have any questions for me, I'm going to put my phone number right here in the chat, okay, for you. Oops. And you may text me, you may call me, you may give my number to your parents. If you want to know more about Juice Plus, you can call me or text me, and we can talk about that and how to add that to your diet. There are ways to do that together so that you kind of support each other. You just let me know. And if you need some ways to add certain nutrients to your body that if you're not quite sure, then you let me know. If you're allergic to something and you're not quite sure how to get that nutrition in, then you tell me and I will answer those questions for you. And the cool thing about text is you don't have to show your face. You don't have to turn your camera on. All right? Can I get some thumbs ups? All right. Y'all are rock
Thank you,
stars.
Wendy.
You're welcome. All right.
Thank you,
Until
thank
next
you.
time. Okay. Have a
Bye.
great weekend. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.